Democrats want to prioritize the health care of illegal aliens over a government shutdown, because if the government does shut down, American
Excuse
employees are going to
me,
be furloughed.
stop it right there. We're not prioritizing. What we're doing is saying simply we want to keep the government open, and we want to work with the Republicans and have a bipartisan agreement to keep this government open, and health care is at the top of our agenda.
But aren't Democrats demanding health care for illegal aliens?
Democrats are demanding health care for everybody. We want to save lives. We want to make sure that health care is available to those who would die, but having the help of their government.
In other words, yes, we want free health care for illegals. This is what we want. It's a sticking point. It's an impasse. You got to give it to us. There's a huge problem here. By the way, it's a problem of their own making. See, Democrats make a problem, and then their solution is always, well, let's just write that problem into the bill. Let's just negotiate that problem into law. That's always their go-to. That I know that what we did was wrong. I know it violates the Constitution. So let's just make a law that allows us to do it. When she says, stop it. We want health care for everybody in this country. That's telling you point blank. Yes, we want it for illegals.
So you're good with the government shutdown, even if it means giving health care to people who aren't American citizens?
Well, that's what you're pushing on. What you're trying to do is you're standing here and you're trying to make me say that somehow we're going to put non-citizens over Americans. Quit it. Stop it. This is the kind of journalism we don't need.
That's the kind of journalism we don't need. We don't want journalism that actually asks questions. That's the kind of journalism we don't. What we really need is Rachel Maddow. We need Jen Psaki. Where's a Jen Psaki when you need her?
You're divisive. No, you're not.
Yeah, no,
you're being divisive. No, please. You don't need to ask that question. You're just trying to get controversy here. You're not going to get it from me. We want to save health care for all people. Thank you.
I'm wrapping up the day here at Capitol Hill. It looks like, unfortunately, I think the government is going to shut down, and a large part of that is the Democrats not happy with the Medicaid cuts that were made as part of the big, beautiful bill. And so I was talking to a few Republican members here, and I got to actually talk to Rand Paul. I actually was able to talk with him in the elevator about this issue. So I think the sticking point for Medicaid with the Democrats is, let's take California, for example. California has a high demographic of individuals that are not here legally. And prior to the expansion of healthcare for them, the hospitals were inundated with people they could not handle. And so when that expansion happened and immigrants who are here, undocumented immigrants that are here, were able to get insurance, all of a sudden, you then had this new kind of revenue stream that came in not only to the hospitals, but now to all these doctors and providers in California. So if this big, beautiful bill and the Medicaid mandates go into place, I think what will happen in California will be a catastrophe, because you'll have all of these individuals now that are not documented with no health insurance. So all of the providers that were making money off of this kind of like new economics in California are now not going to be making any money, and instead these individuals that are undocumented are going to have to go to the hospital for treatment.
So here's what's happening. This is classic Democrat. They make a crisis. It was their own malfeasance offering free health care in the first place to illegals. But now that gravy train has come to the end of the tracks, and they're mad about it. And so they can't let it go. Why? They know that that was the incentive for them to come here in the first place. They're going to get a bunch of freebies. Look, if you're standing on the corner waving free Disneyland tickets, everybody and their grandmother is going to come. And so that's what they were saying. It's unbelievable. You do understand that there are Americans that don't have health care. You know that part, right? But Democrats are perfectly fine with giving it to illegals, people who break our laws and come here anyway. And some of you are already thinking, Stu, well, that doesn't sound very Christian-like. You know what's not Christian-like? Demanding a doctor give you this, that, and the other, and then not paying them. That's not compassionate either. You have to do this for me, and if you're not going to get paid, that really doesn't matter. It's like, what? How is that compassionate? Now, if a doctor wants to do it pro bono, okay, fine, go ahead. But you don't get to come here, break our laws, and then demand something of me. That's not compassion. That's just silliness. And that's Democrats. So they create this crisis. They summon all of the illegals around the world to come here. And then they get upset when we say no freebies.
And that's going to, instead of make the hospital money because they're covered by Medicaid, it's going to create a situation where now the hospitals are losing millions of dollars. So that is what I believe the sticking point is with Medicaid, with Democrats. It has to do with a situation in states like California where you have millions and millions of undocumented individuals, and if they lose insurance, not only will the providers now not make money and the hospitals are not making money, but their only course for them to get treatment is to go to the emergency room.
So, question, who summons them to come here in the first place? Who gave them incentive to come here? Who? I'll tell you who. Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Gavin Newsom, Kathy Hochul. They gave them incentives to come. You come here, we'll give you a driver's license. That trucker that killed those 3 innocent Americans, yeah, Gavin Newsom thought it was a good idea to give him a driver's license. Barely speaks English. These catastrophes are made by Democrats' horrible, horrible policies. And they're all, by the way, and don't think for a second, well, it's just that they're more compassionate than, no, they're not. Trust me, they're getting something from it. They need those warm bodies. Do you not know that if you get those warm bodies, you get more representatives in Washington, D.C.? They're not doing it because they just really want to be compassionate. No, they're not. Stop it. It's not compassionate. This is like, man, this just drives me bananas. It's chaos. And whenever you start allowing Democrats to run stuff, like in California, this is what you get. This is all, look, everything, just understand this. Whatever happens in California is because of Democrats. They control everything. Okay, everything. From the fires to the taxes. They're still trying to figure out new ways to tax us. It's really unbelievable.
Because the hospitals absolutely have to treat anyone who goes to the ER. So now all of a sudden you're looking at a situation where the hospitals are losing billions of dollars instead of making billions of dollars by the Medicaid recipients. So that's where I think this is going. And that's kind of what I explained to Senator Rand Paul, is like, you can't look at this from a macro level. You have to look at what's happening in California to understand that Medicaid, if that goes away for the undocumented individuals in California, you're going to create a catastrophe for the hospital system.
Nope. We didn't create anything. We did not create anything. You know who created it? Democrats. This incessant need to virtue signal. Now, for those of you who don't believe, you still don't believe me, you're saying that Democrats are not for free health care for illegals. That's just not the case. Oh, is that so?
A lot of you have been talking tonight about these government health care plans that you've proposed in one form or another. This is a show of hands question, and hold them up for a moment so people can see. Raise your hand if your government plan would provide coverage for undocumented immigrants. Okay, let me start with you, Mayor.
Show me the one Democrat that didn't raise their hand. Show me one. You can't. They do this constantly. They have a horrible policy that backfires, like defund the police. When it backfires, the solution, they just figure, no, let's just write it in the law. That's what they did with the border. They did it with the police. And then of course, it backfires. It's like, okay, well, everybody now, 911, it's like, 2 hours for them to get there because you defunded the police. No. We just need to now rehire them. Unfortunately for you, they left your state. Every single Democrat raised their hand. Don't tell me that they don't want free health care for illegals. And then you have the lunatic of them all.
I will say, because I saw some senators speculating about this, and I saw some Republican members of Congress saying, oh, well, if we have this shut down, it's because of AOC. Well, if that's the case, my office is open and you are free to walk in and negotiate with me directly. Because what I'm not going to do is tolerate 4 million uninsured Americans because Donald Trump decided one day that he wants to just make sure that kids are dying because they don't have access to insurance. That's what's not going to happen. And so if those senators think that we're having a shutdown because of me, they're free to enter my office and negotiate, because what we're not going to do is allow all of millions of people in this country to not be able to afford their insulin and their chemotherapy. So
she's talking about illegals. That's the Democrats' bread and butter. That's New York for you. That's California. And by the way, once again, the catastrophe is of their own making. That's why I said Republicans better not blink. If they back down, they better not back. And I don't care how long the government stays closed. I don't care. Good. You should actually have to work. You should actually have to get something done. What a load of crap. All right, that's it for now. If you like the video, smash the like button and subscribe. And if you're following me on Rumble, please press that follow button. And until the next time, God bless.